The boy was playing in the street one cold winter's morning. I saw him kicking the dirt and throwing pebbles down the drain before running a stick along a wire fence. When he saw me, he stopped and stared. "Are you going to a party?" he asked. I smiled as I saw myself through his eyes. I did have 6 children with me, plus a bag or 2 of snacks and books, and compared to him, we were really dressed up. "We're going to church," I said, "and yes, it's a lot like a party." The church we were heading for met in a school hall, and the pastor liked to give the service a party feel. There was always a kids' game, which usually involved running around or batting balloons or some sort of magic trick. We always sang happy birthday to one or more members of the congregation, and there were always platefuls of delicious biscuits and cakes, handmade by a professional baker who loved to attend the church too. "Would you like to come with us?" I asked the boy. Well, his face lit up. He skipped home to check with his mum and was soon back. "I've never been invited to a party before," he said. He loved it. The next week, he brought a friend. The following week, a friend and a neighbour. Before long, he was coming regularly with his mum, his brother, his sister, his nephew and niece, and several neighbours. They adopted the front row as their favourite place to sit and joined in with anything and everything. Although most people gave them a warm welcome, some members of the congregation were not so accepting. "They smell," someone muttered behind their backs. "Why aren't you wearing a shirt?" another lady demanded of the older boy as he walked in the building on a hot summer's Sunday topless. A neighbour of mine took me aside and told me she wouldn't be coming back to church because of them. I could see the look of disgust on her face. It was a look I had sadly seen before. I remember seeing it directed at me as a child because I wasn't white. I'd sometimes experienced it at school when people found out I was a Christian, and at church I sadly saw it often when my own children or my foster children were being noisy or fidgety. When I read the Easter story, I see that people felt that same disgust at Jesus too. He didn't measure up to social expectations. He didn't mix with the right kind of people. He didn't speak with the right accent. He didn't kowtow to the right authorities. People found him offensive, demanded that he be crucified, and then stuck around to mock him and watch him die. If anyone had reason to show disgust that day, it was Jesus. He could see the sin and selfishness that contaminated everyone around him. He felt just how offensive it was to God. But as Jesus looked around him at the people spitting vitriol and venom in his direction, he saw their value and worth to God. Instead of disgust, he is led to compassion. "Father, forgive them," he cries out as he dies. At that moment, the curtain in the temple in Jerusalem is torn from top to bottom. It was a clear message. Everyone is welcome into God's presence, whatever we've done, whoever we are, however unclean we may feel on the inside or on the outside. Jesus has done everything necessary that every one of us can find the welcome of God. The people I sometimes find the hardest to love are most likely the people that need love the most. Yet if Jesus can show compassion to those that are mocking him and murdering him, I have no excuse. I cannot claim to be too busy or too tired or too young or too old. The Easter story challenges me that even when strangers in my home or in our churches criticize or abuse our hospitality, we are still called to act in compassion. This is hospitality like none other that goes above and beyond, not only for our friends and family, but for enemies and strangers. If you have been challenged to take your hospitality to the next level this Easter, perhaps look at our website, sanctuaryfoundation.org.uk, to find out how you can be involved in welcoming and supporting refugees into your homes and communities.